Welcome back to Access. Jeanie Buss recently joined the All the Smoke podcast with Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes and shared her top 5 most important Lakers. Kareem, Kobe, LeBron, Magic, Phil. So one name that many believe should have been on that list was SHAQ. And the Diesel shared his thoughts about Jeannie's list, saying, I'm not mad about that. If I was 29 years old, I would say, hold on, LeBron's only been there 720 days. How are you going to put him before me? And Jeanie responded with this tweet. Well, maybe, it's a great picture, by the way. That's SHAQ literally holding Jeanie. Well, maybe if you made more of your free throws. Just kidding. If the list was only players, of course, your top 5. You know I love you and your family. Please don't kick me off the board of the Shaquille O'Neal Foundation.
He won't.
Good times. Guy, I want to talk Andre Drummond as we segue. Your guy. How does it look? How's he fitting into your eyes?
I think it is tough. I think it is a tough fit because of the spacing that he has or doesn't have, as it were. I think he's been forced a little bit in more of an offensive role than he would normally have. But there's been games where I think people are criticizing him a little bit much for doing what he does. I mean, getting rebounds, getting dunks, playing a little defense. I thought he actually did have some good sequences against Jokic defensively. Just got called for the foul. He's got to be a little more careful with the hands. So I would say about B- so far, but there's room to grow.
Kyle, does Frank Vogel ever go Kyle Goon? Like when you ask a question?
He does not.
Okay. All right. When that happens, that's when you know that the trend is spreading.
That's when you know.
Yeah, I'm kind of hot and cold on Drummond as well. I think the Lakers absolutely made the right move to get him for under $1 million as well. What a great pickup financially for them. It's just fitting in. Has been a little bit of an issue sometimes. His game the other night, no rebounds for him. That's the first time that has ever happened in his entire professional career. He is known primarily as a rebounder. And so he's got to make sure that that part of his game does not dissolve down the stretch here. But the real deal is foul trouble. Just some bad fouls out there. I know he'd probably like to have 1 or 2 of those back every game because it's hurting his minutes, which in turn hurts his continuity and production.
Kyle, you and I both know that it's going to be judged on how he looks with LeBron and how far the Lakers go in the playoffs and what role he has. But another part of this equation is how does he fit with AD? Have you liked them together?
Yeah, I think I see what that looks like. I don't think, frankly, I'm not sure Anthony Davis has played well enough before the last couple games to kind of see how that would go. But, he attacks from the mid-range, and when he's making those jumpers, he also has an easy dump off to Andre under the rim. So I see how it works offensively. Defensively, they got to communicate better. And because guys like Dwight Powell, have been doing too much damage against the Lakers. Alex Len, I mean, if you have 2 great shot blockers in, you got to stop those guys. Yeah,
Dwight Powell kind of pulled a Montrezl Harrell on the Lakers that night. He was just super active and super strong around the basket. Defensively, Kyle's right. I mean, they have to work out a couple things, and it kind of makes sense. Drummond has not really played with a guy the caliber of AD. And he's played with Blake Griffin and a couple other guys, Kevin Love briefly in Cleveland, but AD is a different level. So I think Andre Drummond kind of has to step back and really talk to AD a lot about what he likes to do defensively. It's just a lot of talking on the court during the games, period. It takes time.
Kyle, Clippers on Thursday night. I know it's not as spicy as the matchup usually is. I feel like every time they play nowadays, either Paul George or Kawhi Leonard or LeBron James or AD or Dennis, somebody's out. You just can't seem to all get there at the same time and because it's so much fun when they battle against each other. But what are you looking forward to in this game?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Lakers just have to fight. I think that's the biggest thing I look for. I mean, I think obviously the Clippers on a one-day scale come in as the favorites to win tomorrow's game, especially since LeBron's not going to be there, Dennis Schroeder's not going to be there. They don't have the playmakers. But I think the way the Lakers win is by doing what they did the other night, holding these guys defensively, forcing them to be jump shooting team, but not giving them uncontested looks at the perimeter. So I think that's the way you beat the Clippers. And if they compete defensively, hey, maybe they can steal a win.
Yeah, the Clippers are about maybe a week or 2 ahead of the Lakers. They got all their guys back. Kawhi played the other night for the first time in a couple weeks. They seem really healthy right now. So they're definitely going to be favored in this. Kyle brought up a great point. We saw the resurgence of the Lakers defense the other night against Denver, holding that team under 100. Even without Jamal Murray and Will Barton, still a very big moment for the Lakers. They need more of those. They had so many earlier in the season, winning games, holding the opponent under 100. If they can do it tomorrow, they have a chance.
All right, come for a round of what the numbers is. Confidence game. Brez, you agree with it, you love it, you go all the way up to 10. You don't, you're afraid of it, no chance. You know where to go. You want to play the middle?
Yeah,
in
sometimes
a fiddle?
You have to. You don't like
go
that,
down
though.
the middle.
You like
Pick 5 or
extremes in this
6.
game. Yeah.
All right. Lakers and Clippers are destined, I say, for a first-round matchup in the playoffs. Brez, what the numbers is?
I'm going to go 9 on this.
Wow!
I have a funny feeling. No one can predict this. No one ever can predict who's going to play who in the playoffs. But they've avoided each other all these years. For 40-something years, they've been in the same conference, never played each other. Wouldn't it make a ton of sense in a 72-game season? Everyone's so condensed and compacted, and who knows who's going to finish where, that they finally do meet in the first round. I just have a funny hunch. I hope I'm wrong, because that should be a conference finals series.
And no one would have ever seen that until all the injuries hit. Like you said, it would have never happened.
No,
so.
it would have been. There should be 1-2
right,
or 1-3 or
what the numbers is, Kyle Goon. Are you confident about that, or not so much?
I'm gonna unspeak it into existence and go for 2. Just because I think the Lakers are in a tough spot right now. You know, they could be playing the Suns, and then the Nuggets might be in that 3 mixture. So look, let's save the LA series. Let's put it in the fridge.
Sure.
Let's wait.
Okay. You want it when it's a little more meaningful. Maybe Western Conference Finals.
Totally agree.
Brez, LeBron will return to the lineup before the postseason. What the numbers is?
Yeah, this feels like a 10. Like I just can't really imagine him sitting out these last 7 games unless the Lakers lose the next 2 or 3, and it's going to be pretty apparent that they're going to be in the play-in tournament. Then he might say, you know what, I'll just wait until that day. It's going to be either the 18th or 19th. The league hasn't announced when these games are going to take place. Of course, they don't know who's going to be in the games yet. Hard to announce when you don't know.
Brez, my friends in the control room want to know what happened to you, because this is a different kind of Brez playing this game. We have never seen this guy, and you know what? People like it.
Yeah, I really think he's coming back.
People like it.
I really do.
All right, Kyle, what the numbers is? LeBron's going to return before the postseason.
I'll go with 10 too, because I just don't see a scenario if LeBron can influence the seeding and avoid the play-in game. Look, LeBron is 36. He's leading the entire NBA in most playoff games played. He doesn't want to play any more than he has to.
All right, guys, here we go. Postseason play-in tournament. Despite what LeBron and Luka and Mark Cuban say is good for the NBA. What's the numbers is?
Yeah, this is a 9. Everybody's talking about it. There's so much jockeying for position. People are going nuts about it. People are happy. People are sad. People are trying to avoid it. No one wants to play in it unless you're like Washington or Golden State. You know, you're kind of in the 8, 9, 10 department. I don't know if 7 should be involved next year.
That's where I have an issue.
That's the one catch.
Yep.
But it's definitely getting a lot of attention, and it's fun as long as the Lakers are not in it.
Mr. Goon, what the numbers is? Postseason play-in tourney is good.
I'm gonna depart from Brez here. I'm gonna go 10.
Wow.
Play-in tourney is great for the NBA. They should keep it. It makes the last 2 weeks of the season meaningful. No one's talking about tanking right now. Everyone's talking about who's going to be the 10th seed. It's a huge win, I think, for the NBA.
Wow. All right, you got pretty confident guys right here. I like it. I got another one for us. It's going to be real good. Marc Gasol will return to the rotation moving forward.
This is where my confidence,
this is where old Brez comes back. What the numbers is?
This feels like a.
What are you going, 5?
A 3.
Oh,
a 3. I think it's gonna be a spot player. As much as I love the Wolf and what he did for them the other night.
Winston.
Call him Mr. Wolf too. So deferential to Winston Wolf. I just think if it's Andre Drummond's and Montrezl Harrell's jobs to lose, I just don't see that happening. Marc Gasol still could definitely help in certain situations. He basically helped win that game the other night in a very big way. I just don't know if he's going to be a permanent part of the rotation.
Marc Gasol will return to the rotation moving forward. Mr. Wolf, Goon, what do you think?
I'm going to couch it a little bit and say 7, because on a long enough timeline, Marc Gasol is going to become more important. I believe that he will have Rajon Rondo-like importance as a winner, a passer, just a heady guy. I think in the playoffs, we're going to have playoff Gasol, El Lobo, whatever you want to call him. He's going to be important.
Have you ever seen Pulp Fiction?
I have. I'm not that young. I know I'm younger than you two. That's not saying a lot at this point.
Thank goodness. SHAQ, by the way, recently shared his top 5 players in the NBA. You agree with it? Dame, Steph, KD, LeBron, Embiid. What the numbers is?
No, I got to give this a 2. As much as I love Shaq, where's Jokic? The guy's going to win the MVP award probably. Shaq's probably like, well, you can only have one center and a power forward and a small forward.
Well, you're going to Shaq a little bit. I like it.
I love Shaq, but I think.
Who are you kicking out? Not kicking out LeBron. You're not kicking out KD. Kicking out Steph.
You know, I think
Dame.
You know, Shaq might have been right.
Sorry, you kick someone out, Brett?
Probably KD, because he's just so far in and out of the lineup now.
Stop. Yeah. You're not kicking out KD and top 5 player.
Yeah.
LeBron and KD are staying in, so who are you kicking out?
I don't like guys who miss half the season. That's my one thing.
What the numbers is?
I'm going to go 7, and I think the most fungible guy there, as much as I personally love watching this person play, is Dame. I think Jokic has probably an argument over Damian Lillard.
Giannis?
For top 5. And Giannis is definitely there, too.
What about Harden?
So that was the other name I was going to bring up. But those two probably over Dame, even though, you know, they're doing a standard 2-guard lineup.
Where's Andre Drummond? Best friends.
Ooh, he's not in the top 5.
Okay.
Second team? Yeah.
I'm going to say he's not in the top 5.
Careful, Calvin. You know what the beauty of this is, Brez? Everyone gets their own list.
That's true.
You can have whatever list you want. You can disagree with Shaq.
I got really confused by that.
He is number 1 on friendliest to Kyle Dune.
I'm not letting you take KD out, though. We'll be back with more after the break.
KD plays 10 games every year.
Oh, boy. We'll find out after.
We will find out. You've seen what he's done to Orm's facial hair in the past. Yeah.
Or you might find out during.
Yeah.
Keep that phone on.
Orm still might be on probation.
I haven't seen him in months.
For his look at times. No, I'm just kidding. All right, after missing 20 games with a high ankle sprain, LeBron James returned to the Lakers lineup to face the Sacramento Kings and Toronto Raptors, where he averaged 17.5 points in about 30 minutes per. But once again, James will be taking some more time off to heal. He's listed out for Thursday's game against the Clippers. After practice, Vogel talked about his star player.
Yeah, he's out for the Clippers game. He did a day after that. With him playing the 2 games back, he needed those games to kind of test it out and see where he was at. And after playing those 2 games, we all decided, and talking to him and the medical team, to just give a little bit more time. So he'll be out the Clippers game and be day-to-day after that. We want him back as soon as possible, but we want him back as healthy as possible. That's the number 1 goal. Wherever we end up in the standings, we want him as healthy as possible going into the playoffs. And, other than that, we're just going to compete and win as many games as we can down the stretch here.
Has the medical team given any indication of what are the benchmarks LeBron needs to hit before he's fine to play again? And secondly, I know you guys have practiced today, but knowing the compressed nature of the schedule, are there going to be practice opportunities for him, or is it just unavoidable that the next opportunity for him to test out the ankle will have to be at a game?
Yeah, we'll see. I think we have 2 days after the Portland game. There might be an opportunity to practice in one of those. We always look for opportunities to create a 3-on-3 or a 4-on-4 if there's not a full practice. But we don't know yet, where he's going to be at that point. He's literally going to be, evaluated and how he's feeling day to day with his daily work, and we'll take it from there.
In addition to LeBron James, who's officially out Thursday versus the Clippers, THT Bread's also listed on the injury report with a right calf strain. He is questionable. Kyle, I actually want to start with you. LeBron out. What did you think of the 2 games you saw from LeBron James, Sacramento and then Toronto?
Yeah, I thought it was controlled. I mean, in that Kings game, I was pretty impressed. That first drive to the basket at the end of the first quarter, he was able to drive off that right foot and even talked about it. I said, yeah, it kind of was a mentally comforting moment for me. But against Toronto, I thought he was just dragging a little bit. You could tell by some of his reduced minutes, even in the first half, that he probably wasn't feeling right. He was working with a band on the sideline. And I thought he wore down against the Toronto game and looked a little sluggish than he usually does.
You know, Brez, big picture, LeBron knows that for the playoffs to happen how they want them to, he's got to be feeling better and he's got to be right. I mean, we talked about it in the podcast with Allie.
Yeah.
That you can all go download.
Please do.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is we're all kind of, getting a little nervous about, are they going to be in the play-in? Are they going to be the 7? What's this going to be like? They don't want that week off, do they? I mean, come on, what's going on, guys? And LeBron doesn't care about that. To him, it's maybe one extra game. I don't think they're going to lose to the 8 seed if they get to this play-in situation. He's not worried. I mean, he is saying, hey, time out. The finals, Game 7 of the finals is still over 2 months away. So that's kind of his reassurance to us by saying these games are not important. Let's keep the big picture in mind. Even if they drop to 7, they're still in the playoffs.
One thing, guys, the standings, when you look at them, they are so close from 1 all the way down to 10, which each team kind of jockeying for their respective seeds. You see even the Suns and Jazz, Clippers, Nuggets, Mavs, Lakers, Blazers, even 8, 9, and 10. Everyone in their own little pod is battling, looking for tiebreaker situations. Whether you like the play-in tournament or not, there is definitely excitement. You cannot argue that. Kyle, what vibe have you been able to pick up on where the Lakers hope to finish? Or do they not care?
Well, look, they care. They care because the biggest thing that they get if they get the 6 seed or higher is rest. Because otherwise they're playing the last game of the season on the 16th, and then they got to play a playing game on the 18th. If they make the playoffs, they don't have to play until the 22nd. And that 4 or 5 day break between games is going to be a huge mental lift for this team, especially as banged up as this team is. And also that gives a little flexibility on Dennis Schroeder, who's in the health and safety protocols, who you don't know when he's going to return exactly.
Kyle, I'm glad you said that. I want this to be a safe place where everyone could admit that you don't want to be in the play-in game.
Yeah.
Kyle just said they don't want to be.
Yeah,
so I appreciate that, Brez. We don't have to lie and say we're not concerned and we don't care. Yeah, we do. We do care.
We've been talking about
we are concerned.
We've been talking about it for a couple weeks. The big difference, they get a whole week off between games potentially. Keep in mind, they're coming back. Their last 2 games of the season are road games in Indy and New Orleans.
That's a good point.
Back-to-backs. It ends on a Sunday in New Orleans, so they're coming back from a little trip. First time they've done it, finished a season back-to-back on the road in 21 years, Pete. So kind of a weird quirk of the schedule. They're going to be a little tired. They might have to kind of go again 2 days later in this play-in situation. Maybe 3 days later. Kind of depends on what track you're on.
You ever had a Sunday in New Orleans? They turn out bad for a lot of people sometimes.
I've had many days in New Orleans. I'm still recovering from them. But it's
tough to guess where they're going to end up, Brez. You and I have been looking at everyone's schedule. It's impossible to know.
If they win Friday at Portland,
you feel better about where they'll be.
They get the tiebreaker.
Okay.
So if the Lakers go 4-3 down the stretch, their final 7 games, if one of those wins is against Portland, Portland has to go 6-1 in their last 7 games.
Yep.
That's a tall order to ask.
All right, guys. Anthony Davis delivered a dominant performance for the Purple and Gold in their win over the Nuggets. It was needed. It was hands down the best game he has played since returning to the lineup. Here's a look how the numbers compare. They're not close. 25 points, 9 of 19, the +3 instead of the -9, the 3 blocks. Following Wednesday's practice, Andre Drummond spoke about his developing chemistry with the Brown.
I think the partnership between AD and I, we are coming along great. We're figuring it out little by little, day by day. We get a chance to, we talk to each other, we watch film together, and then being in practice together, just learning each other's spots and, where he likes the ball, when he likes pick and rolls, when he likes for me to come duck in, and when he likes his space. And I think just the more we play together and the more that we communicate, we'll find that rhythm. Mark has probably been the biggest help for me since I've got here. Despite him, moving to the 3rd center or 2nd center, I always go to him and ask him questions when it comes to the defensive aspect of the game and just spacing-wise offensively because he's been here. I admire his game. I've got a chance to play against him for many years. and just to know his knowledge of what it takes to be a winner. He's won twice already. So just to get that insight from him on what I need to do to help this team be better on both ends of the court, he's been very beneficial for me.
Everyone's saying the right things. Love that sound right there from Andre Drummond. But I do want to start with Anthony Davis, Kyle. He played his best game without question. He looked quicker, more aggressive, motivated to play. He looked the part, and the result was a win over the Denver Nuggets and Jokic. Defensively, too, Kyle, I know you're at the games. You guys got a different vantage point. He just looked more active, better on his closeouts, better on the pick and roll, just better all around.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that Frank mentioned is decisiveness. I mean, you know, the first couple games, AD would get the ball on the block and be kind of looking around for 5 seconds and kind of checking out the floor, and you just can't play that pace, especially on a team built like the Lakers are, where everything is quick strike. So, yeah, I mean, he just has to make decisions faster. I think maybe that was the last piece for him after recovering physically. And as you saw in that game-winning, game-sealing block, really made a good decision, reacted quickly, and that is the difference between winning and losing sometimes.
Yeah, Kyle, and Geet, you have the two signature plays. You have the runner in the lane with about 40 seconds left and the block shot to seal the game, as Kyle said. The play that I like, no stat was reported on it. He was battling Jokic for a rebound. And he probably would have gotten the rebound, but Jokic was called for an over-the-back foul. And that's when I realized, I saw enough physical display on that one play in the fourth quarter. AD kind of dug in there, trying to fight off Jokic, not a small man, and he held him off. And no problems with the Achilles or the calf or anything like that. AD really is officially back right when the Lakers need him most.
Brez and Kyle, you guys heard Drummond very complimentary of his relationship with Marc Gasol, with Anthony Davis. I want to throw Trez in there, too. How important is the chemistry between the bigs for this Laker team to have success, in your opinion?
I love what Drummond just said. Yeah. I mean, he's saying, you know what? my Yoda is Marc Gasol. I love going to him. And I love, kind of picking his brain. He and I have gelled the most in my short time here. And that's saying something.
Yeah.
Drummond, who's 27 years old, it's not like he's a second-year player in the league or anything like that. He's going to Gasol and saying, help me out here. Okay, what is this? What can I do here? I love how he's kind of thirsting for knowledge a little bit. And Gasol said equally cool things after the game the other night. He said, why do you guys keep asking about individual players?
I love that.
Start asking us about the team, especially the three centers. He considers it one center. So I think that all three centers are on the same page. It's going to be okay there.
Kyle, a big part of the bubble, and you were there, the success of the bubble for the Lakers, was the fact that everyone did understand their roles. And when it changed come playoff time, and JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard found themselves sometimes not playing, a lot of times actually, the chemistry never got rocked. How important is it with these three guys? And I put in three because I want Trez to be involved in there. Trez, Gasol, and Drummond, because there's going to be nights where some aren't playing.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because you ask Lakers fans and who's the best out of those three, and you might get three different answers split three ways. And it's crazy. But Andre Drummond was never brought to the Lakers to be a star. He's sometimes been cast in the more ball-dominant roles because of how many injuries the Lakers have. But he was brought in to be a specialist. He was brought in to be a rebounder. He was brought in to be the defensive big that Dwight Howard was last year. And if you think about that, if you think about Andre Drummond as a specialist, he potentially coming in certain series like Dwight Howard did and playing certain roles, that's how you should think of this mix of centers and how the Lakers might use them.
Well, let me ask you this, Kyle. Gasol had a huge impact in this game. And recently when he's gotten the minutes, that's been the case. Does that mean he gets more minutes or no? And necessarily doesn't, right?
He may not get more minutes during the regular season, but he could get. I mean, what if the Lakers are going to play Nikola Jokic, especially in the first round?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you play Marc Gasol after what we saw the other night? I think he will. I think the spacing is very good when he's on the floor. I think he will definitely have a playoff role.
Yeah, he's going to keep getting time, too. If Drummond keeps getting in foul trouble, it's becoming a problem the last week or so. Drummond's sitting out large chunks of the game, and that creates a vacuum. And so Gasol, hey, you got to jump in here and help out. And to Gasol's credit, he has done that. It's really been impressive and fun to watch him.
All right,
Kyle Goon.
I thought he was my best friend, but
it's the greatest bit of the season. I love it. It's all him. He's kept it up all year, and I've no instruction whatsoever. It's amazing.
He just does it every time.
Every time.
And then laughs.
I don't know why, and it's great. It's amazing.
Did you know him at some point? Did you write a story about him before he came to the Lakers, or?
Yeah, I did write a story on him early on, talked with him and his trainer about sort of his workout process when he was sitting out for the Cavs for a month and a half. And got to know him during that, and he was great. And I know Geeter, you and he are on great terms too. So, but he's really kept up the bit for a month and a half. It's incredible.
Listen, the three of us are going to have to rage when this whole thing is said and done. Speaking of Andre Drummond, Frank Vogel spoke about the upside of adding his new center into the mix with the Lakers this season.
The upside is the reason we signed Andre Drummond, is we feel like we have an elite center that can help us win a championship. He's not quite where we wanted to be yet, but that's part of adding a guy mid-season, with so many other moving parts involved. I think if we're whole, the integration process with Drummond would have gone, smoother, and he would be further along, but we haven't been. There's been so many moving parts around him. It's been tough in some situations to get a rhythm. Overall, I'm very happy with what he's bringing to our team, but it still needs to be improved, and that's what we're working on each day. Now, there's going to be minutes for him, and he's going to help us win a championship this year and compete. The fact that the other guys are playing well also is always a good thing. It's what they call a good problem. And finding ways for all those guys to contribute is one of my bigger challenges right now. And just measuring each game, what it's going to take to win that game, is also a big challenge. But we said from day one that we're going to need all three of those guys. That's been playing out as we predicted, and that's going to stay the case.
Kyle Goon. All right, we got Brez. Biggest question marks facing this Laker team. You're going to give me two each. Brez, give me your top one.
Well, I think you got to worry about LeBron's health.
Yeah.
I thought for sure, he might miss a game or two. I can see him punting the Clippers game and really firing up for this game in Portland on Friday because the play-in tournament might come down to that one game. So when the news broke yesterday that he's going to sit out both those games, Clippers and Portland, I was surprised. Immediately you go to, what really is going on? It wasn't good to see him check out of the fourth quarter halfway through it the other night and not come back to that game. So now you just have to wonder what the pain situation is and if he can manage it going forward because they will obviously need him sooner rather than later.
Calgoon.
Yeah. So Alpha AD, is he going to show up? I was thinking about this when they were playing Denver after that game-sealing block. He screams, "We're back." Well, after that buzzer beater against Denver last year in Game 2, he screamed, "I'm that guy." But he just has not been that guy all the time this season. And some of that is due to injury, but some of that is just he's got to step up. He's got to realize he's the number one guy on this team, number one option, be aggressive, be decisive. If he can do that, the Lakers have a great chance of avoiding the play-in down the stretch of the regular season.
Brez, number two?
Portland. This game Friday really is one of the biggest regular season games I can remember in a long, long time. There were some good tilts when the Celtics came to town, 2008, 2009, 2010, with Kobe and Pau and whatnot, but they were never that late in the season. And so this is obviously a big one because the Lakers, they want that time off. They don't want to have to game plan for a 7-8 game. And if they happen to lose that, they don't want to game plan for the winner of the 9-10 game. So they can just eliminate so much tension and angst with a win this Friday up in Portland.
All right. What about for you, Kyle?
When is Dennis Schroeder going to get back? And it's so tough because the COVID protocols are like this black box, right? You don't know why guys go in. You don't know how long they're going to be in. You don't know how long they'll take to get back. I mean, Marc Gasol was in the protocols for that 10 to 14-day stretch and then took a week to get back into shape so he could play again. So I think Dennis Schroeder, being a little smaller, maybe being in the prime of his career, maybe has a better chance to come back sooner. But, I mean, he's probably missing every regular season game based on the timeline we have. And when you get up against that, that's a tough situation when the playoffs are coming.
All right, guys, rest of the regular season, just 7 games remaining for the Lakers to close out the 72 games. They're on the road at their home arena against the Clippers. Then it's a back-to-back in Portland. And then you go Suns, Knicks, Rockets at home. And then as Brez said, it rarely happens, but they are closing it out on a Saturday, Sunday, most likely day games in Indiana and at New Orleans. I think this is actually something you're going to enjoy. At Laker home games, the Jumbotron can provide some pretty entertaining material. This is one of my favorites with King James and Anthony Davis. Enjoy it.
All right. So in this segment, I have to. You can't hear me.
No, I can't hear you. I can read your lips.
All right.
You say, can you hear me, bro?
All right. So I'm gonna say this word, and he got to try to guess it. King James. King James.
Something James. Who?
King James.
Pronunciate, bro. Help me out.
James. King. You can't pronounce it. You can't. King.
Can.
King.
Can't.
King James. King James.
Bro, why you? What's wrong with your K's?
King. I mean, what I'm supposed to say.
What's wrong with your K's?
King.
You can pronunciate, bro.
While the two can hardly stop laughing at the final result, during filming, it was much the same.
King, get
I gotta do the whole round?
Yes.
Why can't I like switch and like leave?
Well, because I've seen them already. I've seen them all.
You seen them all?
Yeah.
You got another list over there?
Pigs in a blanket. All right. Pigs.
Pen.
Pigs.
Why you look at me like that?
Pigs.
Bro, I don't know. I can't take you looking at me like that.
Pigs.
I thought you did say pigs, bro.
Yeah.
I did. There's no way it's pigs over there, bro.
All right, that's it.
Yeah, now your turn.